Welcome to the first installment of Moose Tracks Studio. I'm starting with barely more than this phone, and we're going to try to figure out how to record and edit and eventually distribute music. That's our primary objective. So let's get started. So what are we starting with besides a phone? We're starting with a space. As you can see behind me, there's some studs that have already been put in. And we're starting with some friends who hopefully will chime in with some ideas. And we're starting with a background and music, but it's outdated at this point. And so that's the whole purpose of this video, is to document the starting of a studio and what should go in, what shouldn't go in, what's more expensive, what's less expensive. Everything that we add into this mix, pardon the pun, is something that's going to improve the quality of our end product. So let's see what we get to start with. We get to start with this beautiful view of Montana, so things can't be all that bad. Well, I did say that I was starting with barely more than my phone. So this is the current mixing console. It has a graphic equalizer in it, which will be very useful. We also have a door to the outside, so you can go directly in and out of the studio without having to go through the rest of the building. And we have some things that we need to get rid of and clean up the room quite a bit. Some exercise equipment, some pillows, chair. There is a keyboard stand. There's all kinds of a chest of drawers, which I don't know why we need that. Some pillows. Most of those can be moved to elsewhere. That's actually our drum synthesizer. No, I'm just kidding. We also have some speakers that I don't know if they're of any use whatsoever. They're certainly better than what we have right now, which is nothing else, or just this phone. We've got some old video games we'll need to get rid of. That's our big screen TV for doing, that's what we have to start with. And like I said, that's the door into the studio itself. I was going to make this the studio room and use the other room as the control room, but in hindsight, I think it's going to be more useful to have this room as the control room and the other space as the recording part. I think it will be a lot easier to control the sound in there than it will be in the square room. But that's what we're starting with, at least for the control room. We do have to contend with ventilation ducts and things like that, which will make building in the ceiling interesting. And also the fire suppression system is in the ceiling, and we have to deal with that as well. But it's a start. This room is eventually going to be the studio itself, the recording room. It's small so that we can control sound and make it dead. That's the intent. The piano will probably stay here, at least for the immediate future. This is the door back into the control room. And then there's the console that we saw previously and the outside door. We also have a synthesizer, which is probably going to be useless. It's old and it's been through hell, but we do have one. It's kind of nice to have something physical for a change. I don't know if it'll do MIDI. We have some stuff that needs to be taken out, some mic stands, and through there is the bathroom. This is the bathroom as it is now. It's been plumbed out, but it's mostly interesting as an acoustical space to us, besides its obvious function. And so this is the mechanical room. It's pretty well packed to the brim. There's radiant heat throughout the building. We do have forced air in certain rooms for smoke control. So how do you get started with a project that could turn out to be really big? You could plan all the way through it if you knew exactly what your objective is, and I have a fairly good idea of where I want to wind up in the end, but I don't know if we need to specialize on video editing or post-production, or whether we want to focus on strictly music as in two-channel audio, or for theater, or exactly where we want to take this. But we don't have to make those decisions quite yet. We need to decide on 4, 5, 6 things that we can do in the immediate future, so that as we're moving the project along, if we get stopped in one thing, we can carry on with some of the other tasks. So that's what we should do. Let's go make a list. The first thing on our list should be obvious. We need to clean the control room and get organized. So that's probably going to remain on the list for a while, but we can update ourselves and look at what our progress is each week. And that's what we plan to do. The other things on the list all have to do with getting this first video out. And so that's pretty much what we're concentrating on, because if nobody can see it, we're wasting our time.
At Moose Tracks Studio.
Okay, so we need answers to all these
First
questions.
name, last name. Thank you. They've emailed a receipt to you.
Well, wasn't that fun? But we did get a domain name. There's nothing on the domain yet. We have to have a website developed, and someday we will, but that's a start. We needed it for the email address. So this is where you create the email address. We got the domain name.
There must be at least one admin for the account. MooseTrackStudio.com is live. To access the email online.
Well, we finally did it. Took a little while, but we have an email address. You can reach us at this email address with questions or comments or suggestions. We love those. So I have to admit, I fell prey to the social media pit. You can get so deep in that thing that it sucks all of your time down. And so a couple of days later, after we got started, we do now have a Facebook account. We do now have an Instagram account. We have a Facebook Messenger account, and I think they're all linked together. If you have a problem, please let us know, and we'll see what we can do to fix it. And if you think we should be in some other media immediately, let us know that too, and we'll see what we can do to fix that. Hopefully our next episode will have a different list, like maybe this. With each episode, we'll show you what we've added to the studio in software, what we've added to the studio in hardware and equipment, and what it's cost us to add those things, and what we think are our immediate tasks for the next time around. So we hope you'll join us with the next time around on Moose Tracks.